Hello pipe community, Barepipe here. It is time for our first restoration project of 2019, and I'm going to pick up where I left off last year, and that is with the Stanwell pipes that was designed by Sixten Ivarsson. I have one more left to do, which is the shape 70, so I want to start off by completing my work on the Sixten pipes. For this particular pipe, I'm going to break it up into two videos. There are two things that needs to be done on this pipe. There is some work on the stem with some tooth marks, and there is some burn marks on the rim that needs to be dealt with. Now, in the first video, I'm going to do the prep work for both of those, and then in the second video, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to show you how I completed and finished the work. So, without further ado, let's get cracking with some restoration work. Okay, so let's have a look, see what we've got here. So you can see this is the shape 70. It's a volcano. It's a sitter. It's got a really wide stem that is quite thin in the side elevation. Really elegant pipe. It's really beautiful. And see what we've got. It's not a very dirty pipe. It's actually quite clean. But there's a couple of little things. One is the logo needs to be repaired. Second issue is on the stummel, there's a bit of damage on this side, and I haven't made up my mind about what I'm going to do with that. This may be one where I decide to live with the damage. It's quite a special pipe, being a Sixten pipe, and I'm not sure that I am ready to see it change its shape, or the alternative to that would be probably to build it up. I may just say let's just live with this as it is. There's a couple of bite marks down here, which I'm going to see if I can remove with a bit of heat. And for the rest of it, actually looks pretty good. There's a tiny bite mark there as well. But before I do anything, I want to just take off any waxes or anything that's on this stem. Sometimes people polish it up with all kinds of things to make it look shiny. I just want to make sure that we actually have really just the stem material that we're working with. So for that, I'm just going to clean my brush here. I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol, and I'm just going to give it a good scrub with some alcohol, just to make sure that we've got it nice and clean. Okay. And you can see that it's a little duller, but it's not by much. So this stem is actually in very good shape. So let's check the interior of it. You can see there's a little bit of stuff that came off, but it's not very much. Now let's check what the interior of the stem does. And I'm going to use a pipe stem for that. Oh, it's not a pipe stem, a pipe cleaner. Using the tapered cleaner. I'm going to put a bit of alcohol in there. And it's got a little bit of stuff in there. There we go. So I'm putting it on a relatively low speed, and we're gonna see what this does. warming up nicely. And hopefully this is going to take out most of the tooth marks. Now, I've got to be careful. I just got to be careful that I don't actually change the angle of this bend. Because, of course, as this heats up, this will tend to straighten out. Yeah, it's got a little warm there. Made a little bulge in the plastic there. Okay. Now, it hasn't completely removed it, but it has shallowed things out a little bit, and that's great. So I am going to do a slight touch up here with some super glue. This is very thin. It's very little, so I don't think I actually even need to build it up with anything because it's really almost just surface now. As it's drying or cooling down, I can see. So I'm using the Stumac 20-minute black, and I'm just going to put a little drop on here. Take it right down to the bottom as well. There's a few little, right here on this end of the bowl, right there. There's a little bit of charring. I just want to see. I take it down, if it's a burnout or whether it's so I'm just going to take my lamp down here. I just want to have a look. Okay. It does look like there is maybe a slight bit of damage on this end of the bowl. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the charring, and then I'm going to give a bowl coating on this. I'm going to take it right back here to healthy wood. Yeah, there we go. That's a little better. There's a little bit of damage there, but it's not very much. And actually right down at the bottom, I see something similar. I think what we have here is somebody smoked this quite hot. Overheated this bowl a little bit a few times because you got a bit of hair lining happening in there, which actually is not a big deal for an estate pipe. It's quite easily dealt with. Pipe is actually fine. It'll smoke just fine with it. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that I've got it nice and smooth. And once we have it nice and smooth, I'm going to put a bowl coating on this to protect it. And then it'll be good. Because the wood's actually still healthy. It's not actually burnt out or anything. Okay, so let's catch up with where we're at with this. The stumble is now being cleaned with Murphy's oil soap. There is a fill down here that I'm going to leave. There's a slight little mark here that I may still sand out. But here's the biggest issue. The burn marks that was up here on the edge of the rim is quite substantial. And I've had to, in fact, I still need to do a little more here. I needed to sand this out to get back to real wood. I want to rebuild the shape. So you have two choices there. I can do it in a contrasting material like this copper brass powder that I've used before for the kintsugi. Follow the kind of Japanese tradition that says this is something that has been damaged before and we're going to rebuild it and make it look nice. Or you can say, let's rebuild it with briar and make it disappear. I'm more of the kintsugi type of guy. I mean, I can use the briar dust like this, build it up with that as well. And you can basically blend it in and make it look like it was never there. I'm in two minds about it, and I'll be honest with you why. It is a Sixten pipe. It's a hand cut. It's quite beautiful. And you have to kind of think carefully about what you do with it, and adding in something more to it, like the brass. Some people may think of that as looking a bit goofy. But then rebuilding it with this briar dust, it feels fake to me. But I'm also kind of tempted to do it with the briar dust just because I haven't shown you how to do that before. And I'm interested in displaying the technique, which of course is all the wrong reasons for doing something. And many other pipes I can do that with. You know what? I'm going to do it with brass because the kintsugi tradition that comes out of Japan is something that acknowledges the craftsmanship of materials and acknowledges that in the use of it, sometimes it gets damaged, and when you damage it, you have an opportunity to turn it into something that is quite special. And that's the approach that I want to take with this. I think if one can make this into something quite special, then you elevate that what was a negative into something positive, and I quite like that philosophically. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to dab a little bit of super glue here in the areas that needs to get it, and I'm going to dip it into this like that, and I'm pressing it down quite hard, and you can see there where it grabs it. And then I'm going to dabble that with a little more super glue. And I'm going to do that again. And I'm using the thin 10-minute version of this that's made by StuMac. And I'm gonna take off the unnecessary bits there, and then I'm gonna, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm just actually moistening it. I just want to press it in a bit on the side there. And we press it down a bit more. I'm going to moisten it again. There we go. And I'm building up a series of thin layers of it. You can see there, it's been built up quite a bit now. And that's what I'm looking after, or looking for. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. And it'll harden up. And then you can sand it down. And once it's sanded down, you get a nice clean copper. Sorry, a nice clean brass. So let's let that sit and dry. And then we're going to come back to it a bit later. I'm going to take that off. Okay. So we're going to check in a little later. Once this is dry, this is busy drying as well, the black super glue.